Right then guys, well here we are. You join me on a very blustery day on Franklin's Lake. It's owned by the South Cerney Angling Club. It's a lovely lake. It's a typical gravel pit, crystal clear, full of weed, and some nice clean gravel spots as well. And it's full of carp and tench. It's got a really good head of fish in here, lots of 20 pounders, lots of 30 pounders, and even some couple of 40s. So absolutely brilliant stock of fish. Can be quite difficult, lake gets very busy. It's only the second time I've ever been here. I've only ever fished a short floater session before because I've only just got my ticket. So yeah, down here giving it a go. The rules are slightly odd at the moment because obviously with the whole lockdown and COVID-19 and all of that, the site is only open from 8 in the morning till 8 at night at the moment. It's only just gone up to 8 at night. It was 6 before. So yeah, weird fishing times, which makes it that little bit harder because it normally kicks off at night on here, so I'm told. So we'll give it a go. It's like 1 o'clock now, so I'm just going to fish the afternoon. I've got a lovely quiet corner behind me where the wind is blowing into. Big gravel plateau out in front of it. Sorry about this, it's right on the end of the wind, which is sort of what's caused my thinking that there could be a few fish down here. So we'll give it a go. If not, I'm going to film my whole campaign on here anyway, and hopefully when nights start on here again we can do a lot more time. So let's see how it goes and we'll get fishing and hopefully catch one. Cheers guys. Well guys, a little update. Really not a lot to report. Just sat through some pretty horrendous conditions. As you will see, I'm dressed like it's winter. The wind it's been absolutely hacking into this corner where I've baited and I've been fishing, absolutely caning in there. And so I was pretty confident with the wind blowing in there, but it was quite a cold wind, even though it's a westerly. It was pretty chilly. Sat on the teeth of it. Haven't seen anything, haven't seen any fish at all show down this end. Haven't had any liners or anything. The rods have been out for a couple of 2.5 hours, something like that now. So yeah, it looks like a move is going to be necessary. We've also literally just finished about 5 minutes ago, had an almighty downpour. I didn't have a brolly or anything like that, so I'm absolutely drenched. All the kit is drenched. Yeah, so not the best session so far, really. Not a lot to say other than, yeah, both rods are out off the edge of this big gravel plateau. Don't want to fish right on top of the gravel. It looks like a spot that's probably been absolutely hammered because you can present rigs right on top of it, although it does look very, very shallow as well. So yeah, so you wouldn't really expect fish to feed right on top of it, but I mean they probably do. Like I said, I don't really know the lake very well. When I was here last time I did see fish swimming over it, so I know they come round here. Yeah, so I've just got rigs just off the edge of it, just sort of as it slopes away into slightly deeper water. There's a bit of weed there, little bit of just sort of like choddy weed really. So I've got pop-up rigs on both rods, sat on that stuff, and they're presenting fine. They're not coming back with anything on the hook. So I'm fishing all right. I just don't think there are any fish here for whatever reason. They don't appear to be in this corner of the lake. I know there's been at least two fish out today. One probably about 10 minutes before I got here, and then another one probably about half an hour after I got here. So, but both of those were right up the lake. It's a bit stitched up there, but I'm going to go. I baited some spots earlier in a few of the free swims up there, so I'll go up and have a look. Yeah, but there's not a lot to report other than that, I'm afraid. It's just, apart from the weather, it's been pretty damn quiet. So let's see if we can make something happen. It's 5 o'clock now. Got to be off by 8. That's the COVID-19 lockdown rules for here. So I've got probably about 2 hours to try and force something to happen. One fish from here on any session would be good, because there's some lovely, nice, dark-looking doubles in here, and obviously some really big fish too. So yeah, let's see if we can go force a bite. There we go. There's the sort of plateau that I'm fishing just off. As you can see in the sun there, and the sun comes out, you can see it's a big gleaming spot. Very, very shallow, but it should be a good patrol route for the fish as they're coming into this corner. So, and then the other rod slam right down in the corner by these bushes. Yeah, it was right on the end of the wind, like I say, but nothing's been doing here today. Well, here we go, guys. My first fish from the lake. Only a little stocky, this one, probably about between 12 and 14 pound. Ripped off on the choddy within about an hour of casting out, steadily feeding over the top of it. And yeah, it's worked, happy days. So I'm off the mark, which is brilliant. Right then, guys, here we are. It's another day and we are back on Franklin's. Didn't have anything yesterday. I didn't even move in the end. I know that was the last sort of update I did, was I was going to move. But the conditions sort of changed, and I just thought there might be fish down up in that corner, and I did about sort of 7 o'clock. A load of sheeting up around the area that I'd baited, and then I started getting a few liners, and then that went on for about 10 minutes and just disappeared. So I either got completely cleared out by carp or I got cleared out by tench. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, yeah, different story today. I found some fish out in front of this swim here, two little sort of dot islands with loads of trees and branches coming off of them. There were fish showing around that. Put 2 chods out there and gradually fed it with about 4 or 5 boilies every sort of 10 minutes. That's as much as the gulls will let you put in. But yeah, gradually fed it, and I had one rip off while I was feeding. So yeah, good to be off the mark. But it seems to have died a death in this swim now. Strange sort of lake. They seem to move about a fair bit, so I may well be on the move again in a minute. We'll see what happens. The lake sort of, it was starting busy in the mornings, and then it's just emptying out by lunchtime. I don't know why. There's a big turnaround of anglers on here at the moment. But yeah, just keeping an eye, looking for any signs of fish. If I see a chance, I'll go for it. It's about all I can do. Hopefully we can get a chunk in the net for you. I'll update you soon. Right then guys, well here I am, I'm back in the swim that I fished yesterday. I've just come to put some bait in here. It seems to be completely ignored by everyone, so I'll be honest with you, it's gone absolutely dead in the middle of the lake. No one's getting any runs. The fish have just seemed to have just completely disappeared. I've had two walk-arounds now and I haven't seen anything, so it was strange. This is almost what it was like yesterday, and there's a very good stock of fish in here and it's relatively shallow, so you'd expect to see them quite a lot. But yeah, it's gone absolutely dead. You can't see anything around the lake, so I have no idea where they've gone. Now the only bit that's not receiving any pressure at all is this corner. So baited up the same spots as yesterday. Hopefully there was some of my bait left over, or they've been in and had a feed. And I'll probably, if nothing looks like it's going to happen in the middle of the lake by around sort of when we think the next bite time might be, which will be about 6 o'clock, if nothing's happening there, I will move in here and flick a couple of choddies out in here and see what happens. I guess you just got to be active on here. It is strange how the fish just seem to just disappear. Like there was a really active period earlier on this morning and then just nothing now. So yeah, just got to keep looking, keep persevering and be ready at the right times, I guess. So I'll keep you updated. Let's see if we can winkle another one out. Right, well, while it's a bit quiet, I thought I'd show you the rig that I caught the fish on. Something that you would have all have seen many times before, especially if you watched any of our videos, and that is the choddy. Let it settle down there. That's how good it is at rotating. But yeah, there's the chod. I always fish mine running. It's running up a leg core leader there in between two beads, so we've got a stopper bead at the top and then another bead that's actually pushed off there, but that'll be, I set that one about 6 inches from the lead. The weed out there it's not right to the surface, but you've probably got about 6 to 12 inches of weed in some places, so this is perfect. You just cast it out, cork ball pop up on there, that slowly flutters down like that, and it will sit on top of the weed like that. Obviously all your loose feeding boilies, if you're spreading them around with a stick like I'm doing, there's going to be odd boilies sat on the weed everywhere. So the fish they're not coming in and coming down and feeding and staying in a spot. They're just cruising along and they're picking up the odd boilie. So this is perfect. It doesn't spook them in that situation. Obviously you don't really want to fish it on a big bed of tight bait, because this pop-up is probably 1.5 to 2 inches off the bottom. So that could quite easily spook the fish, but like I said, the feeding scenario here is there's individual boilies all around the swim. Fish come in, they grab that, and it absolutely nails them. Lead wise, I always like to use the lightest one possible, so this is about 1.5 ounces. It's actually a little gripper lead. I'm a bit low on light leads at the moment. I need to go and get stocked up, but I guess everyone's a bit low on stuff after lockdown. Yeah, so there we go. That's the choddy, and that's what I caught my fish on. Well, here we are then, guys. End of the session. It's been a strange old one, really. It hasn't happened. I've done about 4 or 5 laps of this lake today, and yeah, I don't know why. A lot of other people have had the same. There was a guy further at the bank who he did well yesterday. Had a few yesterday, and yeah, he said he's had nothing today. Around the lake, people, very similar thing. That for some reason there was a little period of activity this morning, and if you couldn't catch one in that period, a couple guys up the lake, I think they had a double take. They had 2 fish, one each, both on at the same time. Obviously I had that smaller one, and then it just died a death. And yeah, there hasn't been any movement, anything really since at all. Nothing to go off to think I'll have a go. So yeah, it's time to pack up now, due to the lockdown rules and everything. You've got to be off here by 8 at the moment. So yeah, I'm just about to pack up the gear And yeah, I might be coming back tomorrow. I'm not sure. If I am, I'll keep the vlog going. I'll probably put a few of these together and make a larger video. I'm not really getting a lot of time to film or anything at the moment because I'm more focused on trying to catch a fish. So yeah, yeah, there we go. So I'm glad to be off the mark, but I would have hoped for a few more. So yeah, there's always next time. That's what fishing's about, isn't it? Well, good morning. Here we are, another day on Franklin's, and I've arrived probably 45 minutes after the gates opening, and this place is absolutely rammed today. Yeah, no idea where I'm going to fish. May even not fish on the lake, to be honest. It is very, very busy down here today. A lot of the swims I wanted to get in are already gone, so yeah, we'll have to see what we can find. If I don't think it's worthwhile, I won't fish. But we'll have a look. There's been plenty of fish coming out. Some guy down this other end found out last night he actually had 5 in the end. So I think there was maybe 6 or 7 fish out yesterday. Well, obviously one of the ones I had. And the same story the day before. You can see some people seem to be having big hits. Other people are just picking off the odd one. But having a walk around, see how we get on. If we can find a spot, we'll fish it. Got a few stockies enjoying the sun here in an area you can't fish. Carp is so typical. Well, right then, chaps. It's 2 o'clock now. Considering I arrived at about 9:15 this morning, I've only really just got the rods out. It's been crazy. I didn't really fancy Franklin's early on. There were quite a lot of people here and people in the swims where I wanted to be. So yeah, didn't really fancy it. So I went and had a look at Dabchick and also a look at Hampool on the ticket. And yeah, the fish at Ham are all crammed in the no fishing area. I've never seen so many fish in one spot. So that I didn't really fancy that. And then the guys on Dabchick said that it was mainly doing night bites at the moment and not many either. So I've come back to Franklin's and I've dropped in a swim here. I actually have seen some fish as well, so I'm not too far from some fish. The trouble is, they're in this channel, the other side of this bush, behind a no fishing rope. So I can't really present a rig to them. I've been getting them going on floaters and they've been feeding on floaters and they're absolutely troughing them. But you can't, trying to flick a free line bait under that rope is a nightmare, and then the birds come in and clear you out. It's just been crazy. That's why I haven't done any filming. It's been a strange, I thought for a second I might have one to show you, but it hasn't happened yet. It's about 2 o'clock. So we've got good 5 or 6 hours for something to happen. I've put some bait out here on the edge of a gravel spot. Like I said, I've only just started fishing here, and I don't want to fish right on these blatant gravel spots. The lake is very weedy, and those spots would be brilliant for presenting a bait, but I would imagine they've been hammered off those spots. But we'll see. If I can't catch stuff fishing in the weed, like I said, I caught that one yesterday on a chod fishing right in the weed. So if I can't catch fish doing that, I will start hammering the spots. But yeah, at the moment I'm just putting little spreads of boilies out and fishing it right in the weed, and over the top of the weed with chods. But yeah, just the one so far. Nothing today yet, but like I said, I haven't been fishing that long. The swim I wanted to be in is incidentally opposite. I haven't seen that guy catch anything either, or the swim on my right, which is right round a corner and right round another island. That swim's been doing a lot of fish. So yeah, one of those two really I would have liked to have been in. And there are quite a lot of fish down there at this end. There's probably about 20 or so fish in this little bay, the other side of those bushes. So yeah, well, they're out there now. We'll see what happens with those. I'll keep persevering with these fish in the bay. I'll get some on camera for you. But yeah, the birds are a nightmare on floaters. You daren't put them out in the middle of the lake, because I think I had about 50 gulls here earlier. Ridiculous. The swans come through, wipe your lines out. Yeah, it's carnage on here with the birds. So it's a stealthy approach to get these fish going in the bay on floaters. The only other thing I could do in there that I'm looking for is I'm looking for a clear spot fairly close to the bank where I can bait with some pellets and some bits. Maybe put a rod down there to try and get one out, but it's going to be proper hit and hold stuff, because there's a big snag in there as well and they shoot towards it. So yeah, we'll see. Right, well, that's the situation. No fish to report, but there we go. We can but hope. Right then, guys, rods are out. Still nothing to report, apart from the birds on this lake are an absolute nightmare. I've never actually seen anything like it. The gulls are just ridiculous. As soon as you ping out bait with a throwing stick, they are on you, and when I say on you, I mean about 50-60 gulls. It is just ridiculous. The only way you could probably get round it, I'd try and put a bit out when there aren't many around, and you can only put in 2 or 3 before they turn up. So I'm not even fishing over much bait, to be honest. Didn't bring the spawn, so I can't do that. The only way around it would be to fish bags, which everyone appears to be doing. So I wanted to try and be a little bit different. Looks like I'll have to try and do the same thing if I want to fish over any amount of feed. Incidentally, I tried for the fish in here on floaters, and yeah, they were taking so well. Probably about 10, 12 fish, something like that in there, swimming around in there. A couple of good ones, lots of small ones, but a couple of good ones. Yeah, and the cast is so difficult to get it in and around that rope that, yeah, I couldn't get it in front of one. But yeah, there's a bit of sheeting up in front of me and the odd little bit happening. There's some carp coming through now, actually, onto this. Sorry, I'm just watching a group of fish swim through here. We'll chuck them some mixes so they don't disappear. Yeah, so frustrating at the moment, very frustrating. Fortunately, guys, as good as it is to see these fish, I can't actually catch them because they're behind a no fishing rope. So I can't get them to come out anyway. I did have one fish briefly go over this spot down here, but yeah, not enough to actually catch them. Right then, guys, so yeah, something to report. I've just caught one. I haven't got it on video for you. I've put it straight back. I did get a couple of pickies of it. Not the nicest looking fish in the world, and to be honest, it was flapping about a bit. I was on my own, and I wanted to get the fish back because it proper put up a scrap as well. It proper put up a scrap. So yeah, and because it was not the nicest looking fish, I just treated up its wounds and I got it back. So yeah, I'll show you the photos of that one. Interestingly, it came off the margin spot, fished almost directly under the rope. There's a nice little gravel spot. Just lowered a rig, wound the rig right up to the top eye of the rod, stuck my rod down there, dropped it down on the spot with a PVA bag, And yeah, it was down there. Interestingly, the reason I did that is because I put some bait in there earlier, and after getting cleared out by the swans, put some more in. Went and had a look at the spot, and there were 2 carp feeding down there. Not actually the one I caught, interestingly enough, but when I had the fish feeding on floaters earlier, and this is another reason why I didn't want to waste time filming this fish, that fish was actually there, the one that I caught, and it wasn't looking too great, to be honest. So I mean, I've caught it. I couldn't really help catching it off the bottom, so I've caught it. Yeah, I've done everything, taken it once after I've took the hooks out, just lifted up, 2 quick snaps, and that's it, and we're done. It was, my timer was on auto snap anyway, so yeah. So we've caught another fish from the lake, which is good. Always nice to get amongst the stock. But yeah, not the nicest looker. They're all characters, aren't they? I bet that one's got a few stories to tell. It had a tiny little tail, massive head. Yeah, he's probably seen better days, but he might be quite an old fish, that one. That's the thing. Yeah, these lakes are quite old, so they're probably a bit of an old warrior, that one. Probably seen it all through the years, been caught a few times. Big splash on my spot again, down in this margin. But yeah, it was on a drop-off inline setup. It was wound right to the top of the rod. Important to drop the lead. It's quite snaggy in there, and fish just shoot round the corner and they'll do you in them snags. You have to drop that lead. That's why that area is closed, really, because there's loads and loads of snags down there. So that's why they've stopped people fishing in there. So fishing on the edge of it, I'm surprised fish came out this early, actually. You know, I would imagine that's a great nighttime spot just down here in the entrance to this channel. Probably a really good night spot. But yeah, nothing on the rod out long. Nothing's happened on that at all. Seen a couple fish show right across where another guy is fishing. But yeah, nothing on the chod that's out there. So yeah. Okay, well, we've caught one and it's nearly time to go, so that'll be the end of another session. Right then, chaps, here I am, back on Franklin, and it's completely different ball game on here now because it's back to night fishing on here. The days only rules due to COVID-19 lockdown, they are done, so night fishing is now allowed on here. So it's completely, like I said, a completely different ball game. Lake's a lot busier than it has been the 2 previous trips I've come. There's anglers bivvied up in some of the best swims, and yeah, it's going to be a completely different challenge, but we like a challenge, and yeah, we'll see what we can do. I'm down in a corner at the moment, right at the far end of the lake from the car park. Have seen one fish, not many. There's a lot of fish out in the middle of the lake where everybody else is fishing, which is why they're fishing out there. A lot of the fish are on the surface. No one really seems to go from on the surface. I can't blame them because of the gulls. But yeah, it's just we're looking where to slot in at the moment. There's a few day anglers fishing for tench and stuff like that down the far end. Which may be an option for the night if I'd hold off getting my gear out and everything. I'm only going to do a quick night. It's my birthday tomorrow, so the missus wants me back to celebrate. But yeah, we'll see what we can do. I'm not going to be in any rush. The lake's very, very busy. I don't think I'm wasting any opportunities. I mean, I might lose out on a swim, in which case we'll go on to one of the other waters. I know Dab is very, very busy from the sounds of it, but we've got Ham and Whitefriars as well to have a look at. But I'd like to get on Franklin's. It's the lake I really want to fish, and the common and a few of the other fish that I really want to catch are in here, and it's a bit easier than the other waters, so yeah. Right, so we'll keep walking round. Quite excited to do my first sort of night on these waters, but yeah, we'll keep walking around, see what we can find, and if I'll update you when we're in a swim. guys. This might make my decision for me. Just driven over onto Hampool for a look. And there's loads of fish in the restricted area again, but they are looking a bit spawny on here to me. I know they haven't spawned. Franklin's was closed for a couple of weeks for spawning, so it's largely out of the way on there, where these hadn't got round to it because it's that bit deeper. And they're looking very spawny to me. Every now and then you get a big crash of these fish in these lilies, and when they're like that, not only is it a bit unfair to fish for them, it's actually pretty unproductive. Like I said, they're all in this restricted area anyway. No one can get to these fish, it's impossible. But yeah, there's a few of them sat there. I was hoping they'd start thrashing around so I could show you, but they're just sat there chilling. Right then guys, yeah, what do you think of the cool shades? I have to wear them over my glasses, my eyes are so terrible these days. But yeah, the rods are out. Seen a few fish actually. It's probably 3 or 4 fish, including one whacking great common, which I think might be one of the big ones. They're just cruising around, they're not feeding, they're just mooching around. Tried to make as little disturbance as possible, but I have got a couple of rigs out. There's a choddy on the tree line, and there's like a snag with a big clear spot off the edge of it down to my left. Just flicked a choddy there as well, just off the clear spot. I was thinking I'll fish right bang on these spots because there's a lovely spot under the trees over there. But you'll have to go around with a rod, cast it out, hook your rig, pull it back in underneath the tree and drop it. And whilst I think that would be a great tactic, at the moment, I think that while there's fish here, that's going to make too much disturbance. Also, the birds are picking baits off these clear spots as soon as you put them on there. So just a couple of choddies, a couple of pouchfuls of boilies, and that is it. And we'll see what happens. Like I say, the rods are out. Haven't seen a fish for a little while, but there was the odd one knocking round. The only problem we've got now is someone's moved into my left in there, sort of cutting me off, so now I'm cut off from all angles. So the chances of fish coming in and being very confident now are quite limited. So I've just got to hope that the ones that were in here are still knocking around in this bay. I've got quite a good bit of water here to myself, so you never know. I haven't set the bivvy or anything yet. I'm in two minds really, because I'm not sure this will be a great night spot, but it could be a very good spot tomorrow morning, especially if there's a bit of sun. So, and this evening for that matter. So it's an interesting one. Just got to sort of suck it and see. I'm going to leave setting up the bivvy. The rods are out. Everything's simple at the moment. If I want to move, I can. So I'm going to keep it that way. Have a bit of lunch, and yeah, we'll see what develops, if anything at all. They weren't in mega feeding mood. They were just sort of mooching about in pairs, a lot of them, apart from this big common that was wallowing through on its own. So right, fingers crossed. I'm back on the cell. I'm going to do a video about boilies, because I'm probably someone who won't bullshit you, because I've used probably every boilie going. So yeah, I'm back. I bought a couple of kilos of cell because I ran out of sticky. So yeah, that's out there. We'll see how we get on. Right, fingers crossed. Right then chaps, back in the swim. Another update. Nothing's happened. I've seen a couple more fish just sort of milling about on the surface. One came right into this corner by this tree, just sort of milled around and then disappeared again. I'm going to have a wind in and have a walk around the lake in a minute and have a look to see if anywhere's come free. It's about 6 o'clock now, because I'm not overly confident in here for the night. I can kind of see why the fish are coming in here, because it's quite nice and quiet in this little bay, but they don't really stay here, and I'm getting cut off from other areas of the lake. I've got someone on my left pinging across one entrance. I've got someone on my right who's pinging across the other entrance. So the fish just sort of drift in, but they don't seem to be confident enough to hang around because there's a lot of commotion and noise. So, yeah, I guess I'm going to have a look around the lake, see what else I can find. And if an opportunity to move is there, everything's on the barrow. As you can see behind me, well, everything's near the barrow, easily enough to pile it back on. And yeah, we'll move. God, a massive fish has just crashed out over where matey boy's baiting down there. There's a bit of a flyer swim, I've noticed. I've never been able to get in it in the 3 times I've been here. But matey boy's in it. He's already had one since I've been here. And yeah, fish has just crashed out. I've seen him bait up there no more than 10 minutes ago, and a fish has just crashed right over it. So I imagine he's going to catch one in a minute. But yeah, I don't know what I can do to get on the fish here. Unless some people go in a bit of an obvious swim, I don't really know. If I'm going to stay in this swim, I'm going to take the chods off, start fishing it properly on these spots, and by that I'm going to do the mark float trick, go round to the other sides, go into the trees, flick my rod over a marker float, wind it back in underneath the trees, clip my rig on and drop it in. So that means I can fish effectively right underneath the tree cover. So that's what I'm going to do if I stay in this swim, but it's hard at the moment, so it's just going to be looking around and yeah, see what we can do. It's just started to rain now as well, which is a bit frustrating, but yeah, needs must. We've got to try and get a fish. So, right, catch up with you in a bit. Right folks, haven't moved, just sat on my bucket looking out at the swim. Had a walk around the lake, wound in and had a walk around the lake. There aren't many areas free, to be honest, and certainly not any areas that look any better than where I'm fishing now. So it's the trouble on some of these busy club lakes, you know, I don't have a lot of choice. I imagine it might be a bit easier if you come midweek. But yeah, so you just got to try and fit in where you can. Have seen a few fish again in this corner, and yeah, I'm fishing for them better now, I would say. The right hand rod is pucker. It's on basically what I did, cast a spom, went round, cast a lead, hooked the spom, pulled it back in, tied my rig on, dropped it in. It's right underneath the tree cover. There's no way you could cast there, and there's no bait boats or anything on here. And it's on a lovely little gravel spot. So as long as my line lay is all right, which is the only trouble with doing that. Obviously you can't control your lines like going through trees and stuff, and you can sink it as best you can, but if you're caught up on something, then that's it, and you're knackered. So as long as my line lays okay, which I think it is, I fancy that for a bite at some point. The only trouble being, as long as the coots don't clear me out, because they have been liking that spot and diving on it. And the thing is, I did see a carp swim past it earlier, so I know the carp go along that margin. So yeah, fairly optimistic on that rod. The other rod is quite interesting as well, and that it's my other margin down my left hand side, and carp have been visiting this. It's like some trees in the water or some bushes, just like some minor snags. And yeah, for whatever reason, they keep visiting it. They don't stay, but they come in and they sort of they make a disturbance, enough of a disturbance so you know that they're there, I even had a savage liner when I was fishing right further down the bank from that spot. One was in there and it picked up my line and gave me an indication. But they keep coming back to it. Not often, but every sort of hour and a half or so you'll get one come in there. So I've dropped it. I led it around while there wasn't a fish there because it's very, very shallow. So I led it around when there wasn't a fish there, and I couldn't find any. And there's no sort of clear spots there, but it is nice fresh weed. And when I looked in the weed, it is full of naturals. So whether they're homing in on something like that, it's a new natural food source that sprouted up. I don't know, but I put a choddy in there. 2 handfuls of boilies around it, handful of pellets. I wouldn't normally fish pellets over boilie, but I kind of want the small fish to sort of try and clear that spot a bit. So yeah, it's baited. It's only very, very close to the bank as well, no more than 3 rod lengths away. So both rods are bang tight to the bank. Obviously one's quite far across the bay. This one is 3 rod lengths away from where I'm sitting. It looks like we're going to get a thunderstorm in a minute. I'm going to set up the bivvy. I've got to try and be really quiet when I do it, as to obviously not speak. I don't think I've got many fish in this bay. I think I've got probably 5 or 6 fish, and that's about it. So I've really got to make the most of what's here, and hope that they don't leave. So there we go, and yeah. I'll keep you updated. Sorry, there's not a lot of action really. I think that's probably going to be the way on it, sitting and waiting for bites and then explaining to you guys what's happened afterwards and in between. So the lad across in the flyer swim has had another one. So he's on 2. He's the only person on the lake I've seen catch one. I've spoke to a couple of people. No one else has really had anything. So he's got it pretty sussed. I've seen him in there before and he's been bagging in there. So yeah, he seems to know the spots in that swim very, very well. So I'm sure I will get to that stage, hopefully, eventually. But we'll see. It's lovely being back out though. It's really, really nice being out on the bank, which I hope you guys are making advantage of too, because sort of the lockdown and everything showed how lucky we are to be able to do it. So, alright. See you in a bit. Well, there we go, guys. It only took an hour for it to go off under that tree. Shows you what effort can equal, and it equals reward. So there's a lovely Franklin's common, a lot nicer looking fish than the other 2 I've had. Absolutely beautiful carp, this one. Look how dark it is. Absolutely perfect scaling. Lovely male fish. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that. That is stunning. I would say probably between, I'm not going to weigh it, but I'd say between 15 and 18 pounds, something like that. It's an absolutely gorgeous fish, and I'm over the moon. Happy, happy days. Get it back, and hopefully we can get another one in the morning, or maybe even tonight. Happy days. Beautiful evening. Say goodbye to a beautiful Franklin's carp. He's gone. Where's he going? Into the weed to chill out for a bit. Happy days. Right then, chaps. Well, after the drama of that last fish, it's taken a while to get the rod back out there. That was on the right hand rod underneath the tree, up the right hand margin, on the delicately placed on that clear gravel spot. So what I'm having to do is cast out a spom, because I don't have a marker float, cast over it from underneath the tree with another rod, pull it back, tie my rig on and drop it in, and you can get beautifully under the tree, and obviously it's worked. So yeah, that's fantastic. Haven't seen any more fish in this bay since, so whether that might kill it for the night, who knows, but I'm happy to have caught one. it was too late really to move. Caught the fish at about 8:30. It's now 10 o'clock. It was too late to move really, with the lake busy. So yeah, we'll see what the night brings. My first night on the South Cerney waters, so hopefully it produces. It feels good for more fish. It's very muggy, very stormy weather, and it feels like there could be some fish caught tonight, but it just depends whether they've moved out of this bay. I mean, I've seen 2 come out from the guy down here, like I said. He's in a bit of a flyer swim. I've seen him catch 2. He's the only person I've seen catch a fish other than myself. So I think there's quite a lot of fish around here, and they do venture in and out of this bay. They're cruising about and moving about all the time. So right, fingers crossed for some nighttime action. Here we go. Well, good morning. Sorry if I look a bit like death this morning. I didn't sleep too well last night. It's about 4:30 at the moment. The sun's up. Yeah, pretty uneventful, other than a couple of bleeps on my right-hander. Just a couple of bleeps. That's the one under the tree. It was enough to just sort of wake me up. Whether that was me getting done or whether it was a liner, I'm not quite sure. I'm hoping it was just a liner, but you know, you never know. I am going to go around and check the spot when the light levels are a bit better. I should be able to see where my rig is, as long as the light's all right for me to look into the water. So if my rig's still there, I'll just feed round it. I won't. Well, depending on if there's any feed there. If there's still bait there, I won't feed anything around it. I'll just leave it. But yeah, it's as I thought. The fish appear to have left this bay overnight, because it isn't that the fish shut off at all. I'm pretty sure the guy on my right, further down the tree line, had one. The other side of the island, I heard someone playing a fish at about half one. It was definitely quiet. It went so quiet last night. And yeah, I heard their alarm go off, heard them playing the fish. So there were fish feeding, definitely. And down this end of the lake, heard a few crash out as well. Incidentally, I've just seen one crash out on his spot again. I don't know what it is about that swim. Like I said, it is a flyer. It appears to be a flyer. But yeah, every fish, other than the ones I've seen cruising around in this bay, every fish I've seen roll has been on the spots in that swim. Yeah, so I'm just sat here watching things develop. Not quite sure what to do today. It is my birthday today, so it'd be nice to catch one today. But we'll see. Unless the fish come back in this bay, I'm not too hopeful really. But you never know. It's been a long time now, so they may well creep back in. But it's just deciding what to do, and soaking up this lovely morning. So there we go. Right then guys, so it's about 11 o'clock in the morning now. Lake's actually not quite as busy as I thought it was from the sounds of people turning up. It seems like my end is getting a bit stitched at the moment. And as you would expect in that scenario, the far end with not that many people down here, there are a few signs of fish. There's a bit of sheeting up. I've seen 2 fish cruising with backs out the water, and I've seen one just turn over in the middle. So considering a move. The trouble is I've got too much stuff. I mean, this is why you should bring a brolly for this kind of fishing, really. The bivvy's a bit of a hassle to pack down, and it's just a question of whether it's worth it, albeit for a very short time. Might nick a bite, or are the fish going to come back into that bay? So that's the dilemma I'm trying to weigh up at the moment. I had a look at my spot underneath a tree, and there is a lot less bait there than I was expecting. So I think either the coots have done all that, or there may have been some fish in there, in which case I've been done in the night, which is annoying, but probably happens way more than what we think it does. So yeah, always good to have a walk around, just see what's going on. You know, you might not find a space, but it can give you a better picture of what to do in your own swim if you know what's going on the rest of the lake. So, right, I'll keep on going and let you know what the game plan's going to be. Right then guys, well, I said I was going to talk to you a little bit about boilies in this video, and yeah, here it is. Here's what I'm using this session, the good old cell. Now, you would have seen earlier on in the video, in my earlier sessions, I was using a different bait, and that's because, unlike many other people, I think a lot of the baits on the market these days are brilliant and do a job. The sticky baits, the krill, for me, the krill, the bloodworm, are my 2 favourites. I haven't really got on with manila. I've only really used shelf life manila, so that might make a difference. But that hasn't really been the one for me, but obviously loads of people catch on it. So yeah, don't fall into the illusion that some bait's massively better than another bait. Just use what you're confident in. And I mean, for me, cell is, ever since when I started, cell has been something I've caught on. So I know when I put this out in the swim, there's no reason why fish aren't going to pick it up, even if the lake's been battered on it, to be honest. The cell, it just smells brilliant. It's just a nice thing to have in your bivvy. Like, I've got this sat here in my bivvy smells lovely. So yeah, don't be worried about picking a boilie. If you pick sticky, you're going to be alright. If you pick mainline, you're going to be alright. I've used Richworth S-Core. That was also a brilliant bait. What else have I used? I've used the dynamite ones when I started. I used dynamite sauce, dynamite robin red, dynamite tiger nut. All brilliant baits. Just the thing is, what people don't do with boilies is bait correctly. With them. You know, they don't put in enough, or they put it in too tight a patch. They don't put out a spread. You know, just, I know they're expensive, but there are times when you can put loads of boilie in, and like there was a time at Creedy when yeah, it was towards the end of the session. It was about 5 o'clock. Bear in mind, Creedy's days only on there, and you had to be off by 11, so I only had about 5 hours to play with, and I had a bag of cell, and I could have quite easily thought, oh, I'll take that home and use it next session, keep it in the freezer, but I stuck the whole bag out. So I stuck a whole kilo of bait out. That isn't a lot in like big carp angling terms. But it's a lot to like your everyday angler. That's like 11 quid's worth of bait. So I stuck it out, levered it in, and within an hour I had fish going absolutely potty for it out there. And I caught a 27-pound common. So don't be afraid to put boilies in either. And yeah, there's loads of things you can do to make them better and stand out as well. So maybe I'll do a video on the sort of stuff you can do to treat your boilies to make them better, and we'll do that as a sort of standalone video. But yeah, that's sort of my perspective on boilies. It makes me laugh when everyone's like making out that some bait's massively better than another. I personally don't think that's the case. I've used so many now, and I think it's more matching your hook bait to what you're feeding. Lots of people use a completely different hook bait to what they're feeding, which doesn't seem to make much sense to me. But yeah, I've caught on all the major brands. They're all good. So it's just using something that you can be confident in. The one thing you may find is, and this is true to a certain extent, there are some waters where the fish in general prefer a fish meal based bait over a bird food based bait, or like this, milk protein. So if that's the case, then match. I mean, Mainline do a decent, do several different fish meal bases. Sticky obviously do the krill, which is an all-time classic, and yeah, just use something you're confident in, but don't go into the shop and pick up one of these expensive bags of boilies and think, and then suddenly start thinking you're not going to catch on it, because they're all brilliant. So yeah, there we go. Right, hopefully I can catch another fish on one soon. Right then guys, we are back in the swim, and yeah, I haven't got too long. Like I said, I'm packing up fairly early today. Just started raining again. We've had on and off rain all day. Left hand rod out to a clear spot out here. There's a big mound out there, and I've probably put, well, 4 big pouchfuls of pellet over it. It's roughly where that bird is diving, and probably 30 or 40 boilies, cell boilies, 10s and 15s. Incidentally, my rod last night, this is that margin where I said the fish were showing interest. They just kept, for some reason, when they were in the bay, they just kept drifting. Instead of hanging around out here and round here, they were just drawn to this snag for some reason, and they just kept coming in here. So I baited it. It was very weedy down there. I baited it and just fished with chops and some boilies, and just fished a chod on top of it. And yeah, nothing at all happened on that one in the night. The rod that did the bite is underneath this tree here. So yeah, like I said, what I've been doing, standing here, casting a marker float out to here, going round into this gap, hooking the marker float, pulling it back, and then lowering my rigging right underneath that tree onto the clear spot. Now, there was a current at about 2:30 on that rod, just a few bleeps, just beep, 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 and that was it. Now that could quite easily have been me getting done. So yeah, because when I went round there this morning, there wasn't a lot of bait left on the spot. Whether that was the birds or fish, I don't know. But incidentally, about an hour or so ago, when I was coming back from my walk around the lake, I had a look on the spot. My rods were in, unfortunately. This shows you how quick they are to take advantage of lines not being there. But yeah, there was a fish on the spot, and it was absolutely troughing. It was tearing up the, it was was just one, but it was absolutely tearing up the, whatever bait was left there. So done the same thing again. Rig's under there. I'm just going to leave it now, unless I receive some sort of indication that something is messed with it. It won't get recast, because it is a faff to get it under there, but it's worth it if you can get on the fish. I mean, you could fish for them through the gap, but it'd be very, very hit and hold, and with the amount of weed, I don't think you'd be able to apply the correct amount of pressure. So yeah, well, that's the one I've got hopes on, because obviously I've seen a fish there. It wasn't there when I came back. In fact, it probably cleared out the spot completely, but you know, they have been drawn to that area, so well, hopefully that's the one that goes. Could do with this rain disappearing, so I can pack my gear down in the dry, always better, but there we go. It's a lovely lake, isn't it? Franklin's absolutely beautiful. Look at that, great view. You wouldn't think it was really busy. There's probably about 25 other anglers on here, and I can't see anyone. I can just see a bivvy through the gap in the tree there. no, it's really nice on here at the moment. Right then guys, I'm just packing down, and yeah, that'll be the end of the session for me. My first sort of 24 hours session on Franklin's, and I've managed a carp, but can't help but feel I could have had more if I was in a different area of the lake. Not a lot of fish have come into this bay today. There's been the odd one or two cruising about. They haven't really stopped. Other than that one fish I saw on the spot, which I caught the fish from yesterday, nothing has been feeding, and I put a rig in there and nothing's happened. So yeah, I mean, this swim over here, further down the bank around the corner, probably 80 yards away or so, maybe even, yeah, probably about 80 yards away or so, this next swim, that one's been absolutely tearing it up. Someone was in it last night. I think they had 3, and someone's gone in it now, and he's had 2 in about an hour and a half, fishing a spot right down to his right. So yeah, the fish just aren't coming in this bay, which is unfortunate. Yeah, so it's a bit of a dull end really, because I had quite high hopes, but yeah, it just hasn't really happened. I'm going to get some overnighters in on here now. I need to try and get in some of these better swims. I'm just sort of fitting in at the moment where I can, and it's not ideal. So I really need to make sure I get in some of these better pegs. So there we go. You can live and learn. I'm always learning a bit more about the lake each time I come. So yeah, it's all good. And there's some beautiful fish in here, so I'm definitely going to be back. Hope you enjoyed this first vlog from Franklin's. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Tight lines. Well, good morning everyone, and welcome back to the banks of Franklin's on an absolutely glorious summer morning. It's beautiful down here this morning. Yeah, I dropped on last night, didn't actually get fishing till about, or even getting a swim till about 9 o'clock. It was very, very busy. I had to wait for a swim to come free. Actually a swim that I really didn't mind being in at all, I really fancied my chances in here, but a very, very unproductive night. Had one sort of strange occurrence on the right hand rod at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Bobbin slammed up tight, then slowly dropped back down. Could have been a savage liner or was an aborted take, one of the two. Got up this morning and there's not as many carp moving around here as there was before it got dark. They seem to have moved down the end of the lake, but obviously it's getting light now, so hopefully they venture on back. Finding it a little tough on here at the moment. I don't know why. Other people seem to be getting in amongst plenty of fish, but I think I've got to take a bit of time to learn the actual feeding spots, because that's one thing I am noticing is the best anglers I've seen on here have got spots in each swim that they fish to. So there's definite feeding areas out there, and I think if you put in bait on those areas, the fish respond to it pretty quick. So yeah, that's about it really. That's all there is to report from that's my second night on Franklin's now, and that's not a fish, but I've had 5 sessions and caught 3, so it could still happen this morning, but it needs to happen quick because I'm off for work in about 2.5 hours, so it needs to happen soon. I've got a few toys to play with, which I'm going to be putting in the blog as well. I've got my fish spy, which I got for my birthday, which I'm going to be using to find spots. Also got the deeper as well that I'm going to be using to find spots. So I'm going to have a little cast around before I leave, just to check the swim, so I know for next time, note it down, and then I don't have to do it again. If I do the wraps and everything and work it all out, then I can just come back and cast to the spots, which I think is a good idea. Right, that's it. Let's see if something happens. Well, here we go, guys. Paid getting up early this morning and having a look. Wasn't happening on those margin spots, like I said, but I've switched to a Zig, seen some fish cruising around, got a Zig set at about 3.5 foot, and I've been feeding some floaters as well, been fish taking floaters, and yeah, it's ripped off with this one. It's probably, again, like 14 pounds, something like that, but a lovely scaly fish, absolutely beautiful. So it's all about, so it's paid off, happy days. A quick overnight session, managed to fish, ideal. Still learning the lake all the time, so get this one back, maybe sneak another if there's still life in it. Let's give it a go. See if we go back in the water. Oh, it's going to go into the weed. He'd come out of there, pal. Come on. Got his head stuck in the weed. There he goes. There he goes. Beautiful. And that might be why it was a quiet night, guys. The carp have started spawning this morning. Only just started, it's about 9 o'clock. I'm basically packed down now, but it's a good job too, because the fish look like they are having a spawn. There's a monster common there, which I assume is the big one. And he's getting, well, she is getting absolutely hammered by these littler fish. Absolutely obliterated by them. So there we go. That'll be me off here and onto the rivers for a little while now. Let these fish get on with it. Well, here we go, guys. I just thought I'd show you what I caught the fish on this morning. As you can see, very small hook. That's a size 12 mixer hook there. Piece of black phone. I've tipped it with a pink maggot, and that has been soaking in the almond goo. So there is a little bit of flavour in there and a little bit of colour as well. And obviously they see that from the top, black from the bottom. And yeah, it got a take, so that was good. I mean, yeah, happy days. The rod's all packed up now, as you can see. Everything's all slowly packed away. But yeah, it's this bay to my left. You can't actually fish in it because there's a rope. I mean, I wouldn't fish in it anyway because the fish have decided to go in there to spawn. Now, it's very patchy. Like all that splashing earlier was the most there has been, but there's a huge group of fish out there following each other around, one of which is just absolutely enormous. Yeah, they're making creases on the surface now, so they may well go again in a minute, but it's already been closed for spawning once. But it just shows you, you know, that they will go multiple times if they're not, that not all the fish in the lake will go at the same time. So it looks like this little group of fish in here is going to go today, so I'll leave them alone for a week and a half or a couple of weeks or so and come back. I mean, they may well close the lake. I would imagine if it kicks off too much they will, but at the moment just a few splashes in that probably isn't enough for them to say that they're going to. And I mean, there's fish feeding elsewhere, so yeah, we'll see. But anyway, that's the end of a quick overnighter. 4 fish from the lake so happy days. Can you see that one there in the weed? Yeah, they're just sort of lying there at the moment. It's bizarre, but there we go. Right, I'll catch up with you guys in the next vlog.